Hello, welcome to my channel. My name is Martine, and if you are new here, I do videos on Vedic astrology mainly with some tropical influences, and I focus on both relationship and natal astrology. And if you like this video and you would like to hear more content from me, please like, subscribe, hit the notifications bell to see when I will post a new video. And if you're interested in a personal consultation, I do consultations on a wide variety of subjects. Please email me at the email address that I will leave in the video description. Thank you. And today's topic, actually, hopefully one of two topics that I hope to do today, is going to be about Capricorn in 2021, Capricorn Ascendant people in 2021. I know the whole series is a little bit delayed, but, you know, I do apologize about that, but personal problems. So, as I have mentioned, so before I get into it, like I mentioned in previous videos, so at each of these videos I will be extracting the next sign that I will be covering, and hopefully I will finish by February, like at least the first week of February 2021, with all of these ascendant descriptions. And the next sign that I will be covering in this series is Pisces. And now to get into the general description, like I mentioned, I mentioned in previous videos, I have divided the year into two main charts, which I will be showing on the screen shortly. The first chart covers the time frame from around January 1st to around April 5th, 2021, and from around September 14th to November 20th, 2021, and so roughly half the year when when Jupiter is in Capricorn and conjunct Saturn and Pluto. And the other chart is for all the rest of the year when Jupiter is moving into Aquarius and will no longer be conjunct Capricorn. And for Capricorn Ascendant, this is, you are the chosen ones this year, because, the Saturn-Jupiter conjunction and Pluto will happen in your first house. So this is definitely going to be a very important year for you in terms of personal development and a lot of other things. And also, before I start with the actual description, you will see a little color scheme on the chart. I have marked all of the aspects that are made by these main planets that I'm looking at. So Saturn, Jupiter, and Rahu, and Ketu. In Vedic astrology, which I use, these planets cast so-called special aspects. And as you see on the screen, the gray marks aspects made by Saturn. So Saturn aspects the 1st, the 3rd, the 7th, and the 10th placements from itself. Jupiter is marked by yellow, and it aspects the 1st, the 5th, and the 7th, and the 9th placements from itself. And Rahu and Ketu are marked by pink and blue respectively, and they aspect also the 5th, the 7th, the 1st, first of all, as in the house that they're sitting in, but also the 5th, the 7th, and the 9th aspects from themselves. And so all of these aspects, all of these influences will affect the respective areas of your life that are signified by the houses in question. And I will be getting into it in a short while. So, first of all, the aspects that stay the same throughout the year are Rahu and Ketu, which will be staying in Taurus and Scorpio, respectively. You can see there on the chart, hopefully. So, Rahu will be in your 5th house for you, Capricorn Ascendant, and it will be aspecting the 9th and the 1st houses, as you can see there. And this tells me that you might feel the need to introduce something exotic, some element of exoticism in your romantic life, because the 5th house is the house of romance. You might develop an attraction this year towards a person of a foreign origin, or you might even start a romantic relationship with a person of a foreign origin. Of course, a lot of this depends on influences that you have somewhere else in your chart as well. But just based on this one aspect, this is what it shows me. And there will also going to be some kind of like some disruptive element with regards to romance. So maybe, unfortunately, if you are already in a relationship, you might end that relationship. Or if you start a relationship during this time, it might end abruptly and with little explanation. But especially during the chart 1 period, this is also reinforced by Jupiter's aspect on the 5th house. So the chances of starting a positive romantic relationship are actually higher. So, watch out for any people of foreign influence that you might consider dating, because this could be a good time. And Ketu will be in Scorpio, will aspect your 11th, your 3rd, and your 7th house, which are all of the air houses or the relationship houses. This shows me that, during this year, you will have a need to isolate yourself from your friends. This could literally, worst case scenario, can actually show that you will lose friends, or somehow you might even lose friends to death this year. Of course, you would have to look at other influences, but Ketu basically shows a separation or a dissolution towards the areas that it touches. So, and I've actually seen this sometimes, that Ketu transiting through the 11th or being in the 11th of a person's chart can actually show losing a lot of friends, like sometimes literally to death. Another thing that could happen is your friends might become more interested in things to do with occultism, demonology stuff, if you believe in that kind of thing. But it can also show that, so your friends might be particularly spiritual this year, might influence you in a spiritual way, open up new areas of interest from a spiritual plane. But mostly the general feeling is that somehow there will be a detachment from relationships this year. So you're going to be more, let's say, professionally oriented, or more oriented towards asserting yourself rather than focusing on partnerships and friendships and socializing. So now these are general descriptions that will apply throughout the year, because Ketu and Rahu will stay in the same signs throughout the year. So, and now for more specific interpretations, getting into the chart 1 period, as you can see there on the screen, and I have mentioned previously, that is the period of time for the chart 1, written with the blue. And also I've written there that in your case, for Capricorn Ascendant, Saturn rules the 1st and the 2nd houses, and Jupiter rules the 3rd and 12th houses. This is important in understanding how your areas of life will be influenced by the aspect. So Saturn, Jupiter, Pluto being conjunct to the 1st, this, like I mentioned before, this is definitely going to be some kind of transformational year for you. It could be also it could be that you're going through you might be going through a Saturn return. If you also have Saturn in Capricorn in a natal chart, that would mean that your natal Saturn is also in the 1st house, and Saturn is moving over it right now by transit. It will also be an especially transformational time for people who already have Saturn in the 1st house. But even if you don't, this will still be a year where on some level you will be asked to rethink your entire personality and your view of the world. Somehow spirituality will be involved, I see that, and also your own will. So maybe because of some kind of spiritual revelation, you will decide to change your entire personality this year. And also it could show that you can change your physical body. So it could be something like weight loss, or you're going to start some kind of fitness regime or yoga or something, anything to do with the physical body. Somehow you will feel a stronger desire to transform your appearance this year as well. But yeah, pretty much on all planes, the first house is being affected. So this shows me that the main focus for you during this year will be some kind of transformation on a fundamental level, to do with your personality and your body and your entire image in the world. So you're going to be focused mainly on that. And also during this first phase, you have Jupiter there as well, so this is going to be a beneficial time. And also Saturn and Rahu together is going to make you a little bit more attractive to general audiences. So in things to do with being a public representative or somehow representing people in public in any way, you will be lucky and you will be favored during this time. It's also a good time for applying for a job. But actually the whole year is going to be a good time for applying for a job. But during this time you will come across as particularly dependable and knowledgeable and wise. And let me think. Also, you, like I mentioned, everything to do with your, so not just your personality, but your entire life path, your entire trajectory. You might rethink your long-term goals and objectives for yourself. So it is definitely going to be a really important year for you, Capricorn Ascendants. And let me see. Also, to do with your physical appearance, it could be because of Rahu's influences. You might go for something a little bit more unusual this year, like maybe get a tattoo, but not necessarily, doesn't necessarily have to be that drastic, but, get some kind of significant change to do with your physical appearance. So a haircut you've never tried, a hair color you've never tried, or something to do with foreign influences, like maybe you might be drawn to wearing traditional clothes from another culture, or from another religion, something like that, because of the Rahu's influence there. And third house, okay, is being aspected, as you can see there, by the blue and the gray, Ketu and Saturn. It actually shows on your part there will likely be a more diligent effort applied to any kind of self-starting enterprises. So you're going to feel a desire to apply yourself to your goals, which kind of goes hand in hand to what I said previously about the first house. So it definitely shows me that you're going to start this year being more determined in, carving a new path for yourself. And this is especially true with regards to efforts that you might have for some kind of a self-starting thing, like some kind of a business or a side hustle or something, especially since Saturn also rules the second house. And it's aspecting your third. So I don't know, that kind of makes me think that you might get into things like thinking about a side hustle or thinking about starting a business. Yeah. And also, but another thing that it can show is Saturn also shows restrictions and obstacles. So Saturn is all about thorough application of effort. So you're not going to be given anything easily in any of the areas that are touched by Saturn, because Saturn wants you to sweat a little bit. So Saturn aspecting the third also can show obstacles. Your patience is being tested with regards to younger siblings. Could also be other members of the family, like cousins, uncles. And another thing that it touches is short-term journeys. So even things like commutes or errands somehow will be a little bit more restricted because of the Saturn's influence on the third house. Right. Let me see. So also the fifth house, like I mentioned before, Rahu sits there. So and it also gets an aspect by Jupiter, like I did mention, so this might show an attraction to a foreign partner. It could also show sudden changes with regards to all the areas connected to the 5th house, which are romance, speculative gain, things like gambling, or stock market stuff, creativity, children, and also education up to the master's degree level. So undergraduate and under is kind of shown by the 5th house. It can also show a sudden interest. So because of Jupiter's influence during the chart 1 phase on the 5th house, this is also a good time, like I mentioned, to maybe start dating. But it is also a good time for things to do with speculative gain. So this is the time when I would suggest that you might risk playing the lottery, gambling a little bit, but not overboard. Obviously, I'm not encouraging anybody to develop some kind of gambling habit, but if you are, the kind of person who already maybe plays the lottery, this is a time when your chances of actually winning something are going to be a little bit higher, especially if you are also going through the Mahadasha or Antardasha of Jupiter or Rahu. Okay, so that was the 5th house. The 7th house, as you can see there, is aspected by Ketu, Saturn, and Jupiter. This basically shows an overall energy of stability in the partnership sphere. So it also shows kind of a desire for spirituality in your relationships, both professional and romantic. So I did initially say that overall, the feeling of Ketu aspecting your relationship houses tells me that relationships will not be a main priority, or at least not serious relationships, because Ketu is aspecting the 7th, which is the house of marriage, but Rahu is aspecting the 5th, which is the house of fun and games and dating. So this kind of shows me that you might be open to dating, but not a serious commitment. But if you are already in a committed relationship, this is just going to be an added area of stability, but it can also show increased responsibilities in partnerships, whether they are romantic or professional. And it can also show a strong desire, like I said, to bring an element of spirituality, maybe religion, in your relationship area. It also relates to business. The 7th house is also one of the houses of business, and since Saturn is ruling the 2nd house in your case, the aspect to the 7th house can show an increase of business opportunities during this time, especially if you're dealing in areas to do with Saturn, Jupiter, Ketu. So things like consulting, relations to what do you call them? The non-renewable energy resources, so oil industry, stuff like that, agriculture, anything to do with agriculture, anything to do with service sectors, things like hospitality, waitressing, and all this stuff. Hotels, to a lesser extent, restaurants, but any kind of service things like cleaning services that you might get involved into, and also any kind of spiritual profession. So even things like astrology, tarot reading, and organized religion. So these areas will be favored in terms of business. Like if you want to gain some kind of business from these areas, this would be a favorable time. Just so you know. Okay, so the 9th house is aspected by Rahu and Jupiter. It just shows an interest in online studies, possibly, because Rahu also shows technology. So everything that is kind of online is potentially connected to Rahu. And so this kind of shows me, because the 9th house is the house of higher studies, this could be a time when you are interested in getting in an online study program, especially masters and above, so or specialized courses, maybe not necessarily like a master's degree, but some kind of specialized courses. And with Jupiter's aspect there, this can show that it is beneficial. So you're going to have more opportunities in terms of higher education this year. And also overall optimism and foreign travel. So during this time, you might actually have higher chances of traveling than in the rest of the year. Especially since Jupiter also rules the 12th and 3rd houses. So Jupiter ruling the 12th and the 3rd, aspecting the 9th, kind of shows me that very likely you might consider, or you might have a higher opportunity during this time to enroll into a study program for some kind of foreign university, or for some kind of foreign business, if it's a specialized course and not an actual like degree, as in a college degree. It could just be that you are considering taking up online courses from foreign places. And let's see, 10th house, right, 10th house is aspected by Saturn, just shows that this is a time when responsibilities will increase with regards to your career and your profession, and you will also feel a stronger need to focus your efforts at this on this area. But at the same time, it also shows that you can come across more obstacles during this time. So more obstacles with regards to career and advancement. So yeah, but don't discourage, because remember, Saturn is all about hard work. So like Saturn is telling you to hang in there in any kind of goals that you might have connected to the houses that it touches, and you will be duly rewarded if you overcome all the challenges and have the patience and the grit to, stick with your goals. Ketu in the 11th house, like I mentioned. So I mentioned before, right? Nothing new to really add about this. So like I did say, the main idea with Ketu in the 11th is that there will be kind of a lack of interest in expanding your social circle, and it could also mean like literally loss, either like some kind of slowly fading away of friendships, or so friends will kind of fade into the background, they won't contact you anymore, or it can literally mean bereavement. Like it can literally mean that some of your friends will pass away. This is really a more negative, but it is one possible interpretation, so I am going to throw it in there. But in general, another thing that in general it can also show, aside from the issue of friends sort of fading away, is the fact that you will have more spiritual connections during this time, or your friends will get you acquainted with some kind of spiritual path during this time. It can be an organized religion, or it can be something like, yoga, whatever, all kinds of spiritual paths. Astrology, tarot, I don't know, Kabbalah, any kind of spiritual philosophy out there. So your acquaintances or your friends can get you into that during this time. Right, so this was about chart 1. Now for chart 2, from approximately April 5th, 2021 to September 14th, 2021, and from around November 20th, 2021 until December 31st, 2021. As you can see on the chart. So I'm just going to talk about the modifications with respect to what happened in the first chart phase. So first of all, Jupiter will move into Aquarius, and as you can see there, Saturn and Pluto will be together in the first house without Jupiter's influence, but still having the Ketu aspect. This just shows me that you will feel an increase of the burden and responsibilities somehow connected to your new path. So basically, some of the optimism that you had during the chart 1 phase is kind of fading away. But on the plus side, Jupiter moving into your second house, aspecting the 6th, the 8th, and the 10th houses, shows that there will be definitely an increase of job opportunities, business opportunities, especially job opportunities, because Jupiter is aspecting the 6th. And there will be an increase in your overall income, wealth, cash flow, basically. And also relations with your family are going to be better during this time because Jupiter sits in the second house. Mostly it's family of origin, but family in general, family, extended family. So yeah. And let me see. Third house and 11th will stay the same. They're still aspected by the same influences as in chart 1. The 5th house will be no longer aspected by Jupiter, so this just shows me that, well, you need to be extra cautious during this time with regards to any kind of speculative business or with regards to any kind of romantic endeavors you might have to deal with, and also anything connected to the 5th house, so education up to the master's level, and your children as well, creativity and all this stuff. So basically without Jupiter's influence, the chances of higher ups and downs are more likely. So you're more likely to experience some kind of sudden disruptive changes with regards to 5th house matters. And without Jupiter's benefic influences here, you might also be likely to encounter losses with regards to any kind of speculative activities that you might be getting into from a financial point of view. And let me see. Also with regards to Jupiter fully aspecting the 6th house, fully aspecting basically means that there's no other planet aspecting none of the planets that I'm looking at. Of course, you might actually have other planets in your natal chart that are aspecting the 6th house. That will change things depending on the planet in question. But just the general influence, Jupiter fully aspecting the 6th house means that, there will definitely be a higher chance of getting a job during this time. And also will show that you will have an increased optimism with regards to your everyday activities. You might study on a regular basis and you might enjoy that, or read or cultivate yourself in some way. Another thing that it shows is if you have pets, or if you have been considering getting a pet for a long time, this is a good time to do that. And with regards to your health, so your health is going to improve during this time as well, especially if Jupiter is also strong in your chart. Right. And let me see. Right, and aspecting the 8th house, this shows that this is a good time to take on a loan if you've considered taking a loan again for maybe from previous times. It's also a good time to get something like a, what do you call it? Like if you have a mortgage or something, to maybe try to get it refinanced by another bank or something, I'm not sure what the term is. I think it's refinance. So basically try to change your mortgage plan and maybe look for a more rewarding system of paying back your mortgage. So 8th house is the house of joint venture. So again, it could show increase in anything to do with managing other people's money or money that you have together with your spouse or your partner. And also can show increase in interest towards the occult, basically. And sexuality. So matters to do with sexuality, sensuality will be a little bit more increased during this time. And that's pretty much it. So with regards to also the 10th house will get a boost there from Jupiter. Also, this kind of goes hand in hand with the idea that you will likely see an increase in your social status and your career opportunities. So again, this kind of goes hand in hand with the idea that there will be an increased job opportunity during this time. So an increased opportunity to get a new job. And that's pretty much it, I think. Oh, and also to do with the job opportunity, it's most likely going to be a foreign origin. So some place from, most likely a really foreign origin, like a faraway place from another continent. So yeah, again, this can lead me to believe that it might be a remote job or something, but it can also just be from a foreign company, pretty much. So watch out for those, as in, if you see any jobs that you're interested in and they're from a foreign country, you should apply to them. Right, so pretty much this is it. Yep. Right, this is pretty much it. So I hope you have found it useful. I hope you have enjoyed it. And again, if you liked it and if you would like to see more content from me, please like, subscribe, hit the notifications bell. And if you are interested in getting a personal consultation, please email me at the email address that I will leave in the video description. Thank you.